Hey everybody, welcome to Gaming Golf, the Memorial Edition here of Jeff Erickson, Jeff Ritter, and Scott Jenstad, talking about this upcoming tournament. New, familiar venue, but an unfamiliar venue. Extremely revamped golf course. I was reading Len Hochberg's article on that. He's discussing it. How the press release was talking about how so many significant changes have been made to this course, including like 14 of the 18 greens have basically been redone. It's just going to be a completely different course than we saw for back-to-back tournaments last year, right, Jeff?
Yeah, it's this was one of the more famous course renovations that started last year. It's the first time that I know of where a golf course renovation project began while professional golfers were still playing on the other half of it. I mean, they literally had the cranes and the dozers rolling out as they were as the final groups were on the back.
That's right.
On Sunday last year. So pretty wild that they wanted to maximize the time, I guess, before this event to give the new course and the redesign a chance to kind of settle in, and especially those putting surfaces, which from the sounds of it might not be as fast as Jack would want this week, but still certainly tour caliber at the same time and worthy of this event. But yeah, this renovation creates all kinds of wild cards this week. You know, what as the Memorial, it's in there somewhere, but it's so far tweaked and, revamped. And I don't know. I personally, Scott, I don't know about you, but I feel like current form is maybe my favorite stat of the week over any particular statistic, just simply because there's so much unknown about how this is going to play this week.
Yeah, we talk a lot about, putting in some courses. I think you can kind of just toss putting this week again, just because we don't know how these greens are going to play. So I think I'm going to, you're looking for guys. We always talk about approach and tee to green. I think current form is really important too. And it's interesting that it's just so funny how you can take a golf course and make it so different by a few things. You look last year and, Morikawa won the workday at -19. They moved the tees back. They moved some stuff around and some tee placements, and Rahm won the next week at -9. So it'll be interesting where it plays this week. Sounds like more trees are in there. They redid a bunch of bunkers, added some fairway bunkers and like really kind of strategic spots to make it a little more difficult. So I think it should be interesting how the renovations come along. I think we're going to see more of the winner in the -10 to 15 range than the higher than that in the 20s or something like that.
Yeah, it was interesting. Some of the things they tore up like an entire hole, though. It's like they said they revamped it from tee to green. I think he said on one of them. I was reading Len's article, so it's pretty wild. Loaded field again. It's a small field, 120. It's an invitational, but 7 of the top 10 are here. Dustin Johnson is not. You look at like 14 of the top 20. It's a tough field. So it's funny. Last week I had a lineup on DK that all 6 made the cut, but that didn't do much for you. And I think it was weird because I didn't have the contenders. Obviously I had no Kokrak. I had no Spieth, and it just was there, just hanging out, doing nothing.
Yeah. Before a couple of guys dropped out, like they dropped from +1 to +2. It was the highest 6-6 percentage I'd ever seen in DraftKings. So it was one of those weeks where you had to get 6-6, but you had to really score well also. But I think it was Patrick Reed and someone else dropped from 1 to 2 at the very last minute to make it a little tougher to go 6-6. But it was a weird week, and almost all the big names were there on the weekend.
Yeah, that's right. And so it's going to be it's a Shark Tank this week. Going to be a lot tougher, I think, this week to kind of narrow it down. Let's start because we got a lot to go through here. Starting off, again, there's 6 guys now in 5 dishes this time. Once again, though, topped by Jordan Spieth as the most expensive golfer. Collapsed a little bit on Sunday, but otherwise, I mean, he keeps going with his great form. He's at 11-3 this week. Are you going to pay up for him? Or are you going to choose instead one of the other guys in the 5 digits, whether it's Rahm, Bryson, Rory, Morikawa, or Justin Thomas?
I mean, like I said at the top, I think current form is your top go-to stat at the moment. And who's playing better than Spieth right now? I mean, even Rahm is very tempting as the defending champ, feeling confident coming in. But this is, again, a whole new golf course. So I think you do pay up for Spieth in a DFS game like this. I'm not sure. I think what are odds? I saw 14-1 on golf odds. I'm not sure what they are on DraftKings, but I don't know. That's a tough number to make a lot of money on. But I think as an anchor for your lineup, there's a couple other. I mean, certainly you could make a great case for Rahm, but I think I see no reason why you wouldn't want at least one of those guys in your lineup this week. And for me, Jordan Spieth is back. He's back. So put him in. If you like him, put him in.
Yeah, I'm off Spieth this week. I'd go Rahm instead. I just think that I didn't love how Spieth hit the ball last week. He gained 7.1 shots putting last week, so it was like all putting last week. Granted, he's playing so well that he could do it at any point, but I think I just lean Rahm a little bit. On the top range, I go Rahm. I go Morikawa. Morikawa's just hitting the ball so well. We talked about it last week. I mean, he's the best ball striker on tour right now. 4 straight weeks of bad putting, though. If he putts average, he's still there. What did he finish? He finished 14th last week, and not hitting not putting well. So, if you're going to give me a guy who's top 20, not putting well, you just putt average, and I think he's the guy. I think that he's number one in the field. We talk about every week, but he's number one in the field in the last 36 in tee to green, ball striking, and shots gained approach. Of this range, I'm going Rahm. I'm going Morikawa as my 2 plays.
I want to throw a theory out here. It's a little contrarian. Sometimes putting is the ability to read greens. Well, there's no local knowledge at all here. There's no, hey, this breaks here at this spot. I remember that. Oh, they're going to put the pin here on that day. None of that is going to hold true because the greens are different, right? So maybe a big skill is the ability to quickly read greens, quickly adjust to greens. I wonder if that's not necessarily reflected in strokes gained putting, perhaps. Maybe that's more just, okay, they can follow their books. They can go with the knowledge that they've had. I think reading greens is going to be especially important this year.
I like it. I mean, when in doubt, everything breaks towards the water, right? Isn't that?
Yeah. Or away from the mountain. Oh, wait, there's no mountains in Ohio.
Yeah. I mean, not a bad theory. Honestly, with a brand new golf course, hey, that's a pretty solid hunch as any this week. So, it's brand new greens for everybody. They've got their books. They've got a few days of practice rounds, and that's about it. So it's a level playing field as far as that goes. So a quick study on the greens. I mean, why not?
And the thing I love with Morikawa is, I mean, even if he putts badly, he's still his bad week at putting badly is the top 20. So if that is a floor to fall back, I love it. I just love the fact that he putts average. He's going to be right there. It's just tough. I mean, all these guys are good. I mean, Bryson and Rory, we haven't even mentioned him. JT's an interesting one, not playing well last couple of weeks, but he's another guy that, if he putts well, he'll be right there. So you got to pick and choose when you get to the top. And just this week, it's Rahm and Morikawa for me. All
right, very good. Let's move on to the next tier. In the 9,000s, there's a handful of guys here. Let's go through them. Victor Hovland, 99. Xander Schauffele at 97. Patrick Cantlay at 95. He was the leader at the tournament until the weekend, then kind of collapsed. I think that was the second tournament. I think it was the Memorial, not the first tournament, if I recall correctly. Matsuyama, 94. Corey Connors, 93. Tony Finau, 92. Patrick Reed, 91. And Scotty Scheffler at 9,000. Start with you this time, Scott. What do you like from this group?
Man, I love this range. I think I might even consider starting some laps with a couple of guys here and drop down and skip the 10s. I just love a lot of guys here. You guys are gonna make fun of me, but I love Tony Finau this week. Back-to-back top 20s, really good tee to green numbers in the last 2 weeks. Gained 4 strokes and approach his last tournament. He lost 4.4 strokes putting last week and still finished 20th. I love that. He's hitting the ball really well. He seems to be back. Finished 8th here last year. Plays really well at this course over his history. So I love Finau at 9,200. I also really like Hideki at 9,400. Really good ball striking 7 weeks in a row. At the PGA, where he last played, he gained 10.3 strokes tee to green, 6.4 approach. Again, putted like Hideki, and the only reason he didn't really compete. But I think those two guys. I'd be interested to hear what you guys think about Cantlay, because Cantlay was so bad, and then played really well at the PGA. Do you count someone finding it 1 week at a major? Is that back? Do you kind of throw that out? What do you guys do with Cantlay at 9,500? Because he's underpriced if he's playing like Cantlay, but I don't know how much faith I can put into 1 week.
Well, I mean, I last year I called him can't play just because he was out so much, but so I'm still a little bitter about that. But then he won late in the season. He seems mercurial to me. It's a question of when does he find it, when does he fall off, and Ronnie, honestly, I think I'm kind of on board with him a little bit this week. I think I might even consider him for one and done.
Yeah, I mean, he played so well. And is it the beginning of Cantlay playing like Cantlay again, or is it he had 4 straight missed cuts before that? So it depends on how much faith you put in that week. But he played fantastically well at the PGA. Didn't putt well, otherwise he probably contends.
Yeah, he's interesting. And sorry, I had to cough, and I'm fighting a nasty cold virus that I received from my 3-year-old or 1-year-old, or some combination of both of them. Just
Yep.
Right?
Yep.
Germ coming
They
in
pick
hot.
up everything. That's right.
God, it's just unbelievable. Cantlay is interesting. I was going to see your fee now and raise you one. Another guy who just feels like they should be winning more than they are now based on how they're playing. Schauffele off this tier. How's he down in this tier now? All of a sudden, he's just like another guy just feels a little underpriced based on the potential. But then again, you look at, what he's doing, just kind of doing everything but win for a while now, putting himself in contention. And then there's some sort of Sunday mishap that takes him down a peg. But Schauffele just feels like a guy maybe it's gone too long now without a win. And, elite field, you assume this is going to be a top tier golf course. Certainly long game is still going to come into play. Tee to green game is still going to come into play. So just another guy I feel like is due. He's been playing well, but just not well enough on a Sunday. I flagged him off the 9,000 tier.
How are you guys? How are you guys on Hovland this week at 9,900?
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like the short game stuff is, I don't know. He's playing his way into contention time and time again. I just feel like maybe I just want to change names. If nothing else, you just feel like you want to jump off before you want to be ahead as opposed to too late. And I just, I might just stay away from Victor. I've got him on my fantasy team, so I'm still already invested, but I just wanted to try. I think I'm going to try Schauffele off this tier this week.
All right. Is there anybody in this group you're avoiding?
I think before we do that, we have to mention our buddy and friend and of the podcast, Corey Connors. I mean, just another week where he hit the ball really well again. Like he didn't putt well at the Charles Schwab, but finished 20th. He's been really, really good on approach 4 straight weeks now. Just a short game, rough. But I mean, we talk about guys that feel like they should continue one here. I feel like Connors is kind of right in that group. I mean, we keep talking about him and moving on price, but every time he's pretty much in contention. Most weeks, he had 43rd at Wells Fargo, but other than that, we're talking 8 straight weeks, top 25. It's a guy that the name's just always there. And at the PGA, he played really well that first round, then kind of fell off, but he's just always there. He's been a really consistent guy this year.
I liked him more when he was underpriced, and it felt like Gaming Golf was just ahead of this. Yeah. And now I think our podcast has single-handedly raised that price a few $100.
That and his performance.
It's funny, you got a loaded field, and he's 9,300. We're talking a month ago, he was 6,800 at the Masters. Like, it's crazy how that price has grown, and he's now over 9,000 in a field that's really loaded.
All right, let's keep rolling on with the 8,000s. In the 8,000s, it's a pretty interesting group. Sam Burns, 8,900, fresh off the withdrawal from the PGA. Neiman's at 88, Fitzpatrick 87, Cameron Smith 86, Usti at 85, Shane Lowry 84, Hoffman 83. The Hoff has been playing well. Big Sunday this past week. Sanjay M at 8,200. Billy Horschel at 81, and Keegan Bradley and Ricky Fowler. Your guy, he's back. Ricky Fowler, he's back at 8,000. Jeff, let's start with you though first. What do you think about the $8,000 tier?
For me, Charley Hoffman is starting to feel like when you're at the blackjack table and you just think, I just can't leave because I haven't lost a hand. Like I'm just going to leave the next time I lose a hand. But you just somehow keep winning. Like you get dealt, you dealt 16 and you still find a way to win the hand. That's how I feel like we are with Charley Hoffman right now, where I can't believe the magic carpet ride continues. But I mean, last week he still shoots 65 on Sunday to tie for third. I'm just sit at the table and just play Charley Hoffman at this point until I go bust. So that's where I would start. I also do think, Joaquin Niemann, the fact that he's 17 for 17 on cuts made this year, feels like a safe place to park your money. And then I guess, Scheffler's 9 now on DraftKings. Who's going to be my other guy? So, but I'm going to sit at the table. I'm just going to put my chips out there until Charley Hoffman busts it somehow. Because right now I'm just still riding. I'm still rolling it up with Charley Hoffman. And I don't know how or why this is happening, but it's happening. The guy is just hot. And so I'm there.
It's not a Texas tournament, though. We'll see. Yeah. I don't know. Scott, what do you think?
Yeah, I echo everything Jeff said about Hoffman. At some point, you gotta ride it. He's last week, he gained 7.9 shots in approach, putted well, good tee to green. Like he's just playing really well. And that's that's 5 straight weeks inside the top 20. At some point, we talk about current form, and that's about as good as it gets. I do like Niemann also. I do think he's really solid, never misses cuts. The other guy in this range, I think kind of the same theory with Hoffman when you ride the hot hand is Keegan Bradley. I mean, he's made 9 straight cuts. He's been in the top 37 straight tournaments. He was 17th at the PGA, another really good tee to week, green week at 9.2 shots gained there. Lost strokes putting, which he kind of does. He's one of those another guy that if he putts average, should be a top 25 guy, and just another guy that at 8,000, I feel like he gets pushed down a little bit because of how good the field is, but really, really solid 8,000. I'll be playing some Keegan, some Hoffman together for sure in this range.
Yeah. If you do 2 guys in the 9,000s, you can do 2 guys in the 8,000s pretty easily.
Yep.
And still don't have to dip into the 6,000s at all. So I like that.
We're going to dip way down in the 6,000s this week.
Oh, we are dipping. All right. I like dipping.
After our 6,200 Vincent Way last week did really well. I got another one for you this week. We'll get there.
Yeah. I do like Whaley. I thought about picking him up in our league, actually.
I almost did. If he played this week, I think I would have done it.
Yeah. And I also was like a juggernaut like this 10th place team that I have. It's hard to find a good cut. So, I mean, unless it's Pat Perez, I suppose. But Perez plays every week. So, I don't know. It's always one of those conflicts.
And
but
Perez is just so fun of a guy that it's hard to cut him. You just kind of feel bad doing it.
Nah. They don't know. He does. They have no idea.
After I watched his scramble with the 4-play golf guys, I'm a big Pat Perez fan too. He's got a ton of personality.
Sure, he does. Yeah. I'll grant you that, but leave sentiment out, Scott. Come on.
I know. I wish I was better at that. I finally didn't buy Ricky Fowler in our auction this year for the first time ever. So maybe I'm getting a little bit better.
Baby steps there. Anybody you want to fade from this group?
I'm not paying $800 for Sam Burns coming off a WD just with the other names in this range. I love Sam Burns. He's on my team that we mentioned that we've been talking about. I just can't do it $800-900. I think it's just a little too expensive when I could get down to Hoffman or down to Bradley. I'm not there with Burns coming off the WD.
It makes sense. How about you, Scott? I mean, Jeff. Sorry.
I guess worth mentioning. I forgot to mention Cam Smith sitting here in this tier a little bit inexplicably to me. I think he's another guy that's he's popped up enough and he's proven himself to be a big game hunter, and this event is one of those. So I'd watch out for him too. There's really I don't know, maybe Horschel. I don't see myself paying anyone for Billy, and I don't know. I think Ricky Fowler. I don't know that I'd put him in the DFS lineups, but 60-1. I think we'll get to the bets later. But I'm flagging him at 60-1. Why not? Maybe it's just going to click.
In this range, I'm also off on Sung J M, who I really like as a player, but just his recent form, we talked about that. He's missed 2 of his last 3 cuts, losing strokes, tee to green and approach 2 out of 3. We talk about all these guys who are playing really well and hitting the ball. Well, he's just a guy that sticks out to me as not playing that well. And it's Sung J. He's such a good player that he can always pop. Yeah. But if you got to fade somebody, you got to pick somebody. His recent form has me off him right now.
Yeah, me too. I hear you on that. He's not my first choice, that's for sure, which means he'll win. But sure. We'll move on. 7,000s. I'm not going to go through the exhaustive list. I think we learned our lesson there. That would be like 2 minutes of the podcast, just listing all the names in the 7,000s. Suffice to say, there's a lot of them. There's some interesting names. I think we went. Did we go? We went Jeff first this last time, so we'll go Scott first here.
Yeah, 7,000 is tough this week. I didn't like as many guys as I like, but a couple of guys off the top of the higher end. I think Gary Woodland's playing really well right now. He's top 43 straight weeks, 2 top 15s in that range. He's in 3 top 15s the last 6 tournaments. You're starting to see the form come around. He plays really well on tough courses and big fields that we've seen before, hitting it really well, tee to green and approach. So I think that I'm in on some Woodland shares this week. Also, an interesting guy is Emiliano Grillo at 7,700. If you want to look at some of the metrics and shot gains approach, I mean, last 3 weeks have been absolutely elite. At the PGA, he gained 7.5 shots approach. Last week at Charles Schwab, finished 8th. He was 6.1 in approach there. Struggling a little bit off the tee, which scares me a little bit. You always just worry about a guy like that in a course like this. But I think as you get in the 7,000s, I think I've seen enough from Grillo at 7,700 to pop him in some lineups.
I love the Woodland pick. I can't believe that's his price. He's also played well at Charles Schwab, flashed at the PGA briefly. I think he had a top 10 at the Wells Fargo. This price seems too cheap for Gary Woodland, and I like him. I got to go dig and find the golf odds, but he's in one and done consideration for me this week as well, depending if I've got Rahm or Spieth available. So
he's 60 to 1 at the moment.
Yeah, I like that too. I like all of it. The other guy from this tier for me, Patton Kizzire, like the way he finished at the Charles Schwab, clawing his way up to third place. Ride the wave. So I think that's
chips on the table.
Good price for a guy that you like to see the guys surge on Sunday and play their way into contention and stick as opposed to fade. So maybe it's coming together for Kizzire. So he's another one I'd watch this week.
Yeah, I think Taylor Gooch, who works in here too, 7,100, played really well last week. Finished 14th. Really good tee to green and approach. He's been good at that. They made the cut at the PGA. He's made 4 straight cuts. What do you guys do with our friend Doug Ghim this week? He finally putted average last week, and he ended up finishing 14th. Like, so all he has to do is putt a little bit, and he's pretty good. He found the ball striking again after he was a week off at the Byron Nelson. It was the first week he didn't really hit it well for a while, but I think at 7,200, we were off him maybe last week, but maybe it's time to jump back on.
I don't know. I'll go with Kizzire, but it is interesting. Like this, because putting is such a wild card this week. You can make a good case that maybe that's a sneaky play to mix into your lineups.
Kizzire's got back-to-back top 3s. Like we talk top 20s or top 10s.
Why is he 7,300?
It's been ball striking too. It's not like he had one huge putting week in there, but really good tee to green and approach in the last 2 tournaments. I gotta think he's popular this week at 7,300. It's just people are gonna see the 2 top 3s and jump on that, I would think. Strikes me as a why not both. I think both those guys will be heavily owned. I think Ghim will be Ghim's always popular in the DFS community, so I wouldn't be surprised if both of those are highly owned this week. One more name I want to throw out there, and kind of the inverse of the Cantlay stuff we talked about, where it was he's playing poorly and had one really good week. Charles Schwartzel down here at 7,400. It's kind of the opposite. He was playing really, really well, 4 straight top 30s, and then was horrible at the PGA. Lost strokes tee to green, lost strokes approach, lost strokes putting. Do you guys like Schwartzel as a bounce back this week, or are you worried that the form of the PGA may transfer over? Charl made me snarl, but because I had him on my team, and the thing about him is, he kind of reverted to what he was prior to this hot streak. He had a pretty long stretch where he's lost in the wilderness. Yep. I almost wonder if that's more the true level. Yeah, I think it's a tough call trying to figure out if that was you throw away the major and go back to the current form or the past form, or you kind of figure maybe he's off the hot streak. It's a kind of the opposite of Cantlay. How much do you buy that PGA performance? I think golfers can relate to that, where you feel like you're playing well for a while, and then all of a sudden you go to a really tough golf course, the wind's in your face. You're playing, in this case, the PGA Championship. There's nothing like Kiowa. You get absolutely beaten up. And then how do you respond? I mean, pros find a way, obviously, to figure it out or put it back together, but you could certainly see this maybe being a tricky week to play Schwartzel, especially with all these other options in the same price range. Like I relate to that, except for the part about playing really well. You just don't play. Yeah, that's true too. But I'd like to have a stretch of 4 good straight tournaments. But you'd like to have a stretch of 4 rounds right now. I mean, 4 shots. That is 4 shots in a row and a par. 4 shots does feel pretty good. That happens every once in a while, but that's a tough one. But the 7,000 range is a little tougher than normal. I think that not as many guys stick out. I think nailing the right guys in here is going to be really big this week because there's just not the obvious guys we usually see. I'm going to throw out another name here. I'm surprised you guys haven't done it because we've mentioned him before. Matt Wallace at 74. This is a guy that has been a friend of the podcast, not friendly, but acknowledged by the podcast. In previous weeks, that's a pretty affordable price for him. Yeah, I looked at him. He hit it so badly last week. He lost 5 strokes on approach, lost strokes to green. That's back-to-back weeks losing strokes on approach. I loved him for a while there, and I just worry like maybe he's another guy. The recent form, 55th at PGA, 56th at Schwab. Did make the cuts, but I just a little bit about the ball striking the last couple of weeks. He remains in my fantasy lineup. In our league, but I don't know. Again, there's just these other guys. I just think Kizzire and Woodland to me are just like I just grab them off this tier and move on. That's how I put those lineups together. It's good to have certainty. It's good to have that feel like you want to have these guys. It's very relieving. All right, Scott, you promised we're gonna dig deep. I know you've been dying to mention it, so let's
stop the delay. Go ahead. Tell us who you deep diving for.
Yeah, I mean, we're gonna jump down past the high sixes, past the mid sixes, and we go all the way to the low sixes. 6,100, finished 8th last week. Kyle Stanley was added late to the field because he finished top 10. He wasn't in the field, finished top 10, got in the field. So DraftKings actually added him late. Last I looked, I think I looked last night, he had not been added on FanDuel yet. But you just look at the last couple of weeks with Stanley. He finished 8th last week, but you look at how he did it. He lost a bunch of strokes putting, but still was so good with the ball striking. Gained 8.2 shots on approach, 9.9 tee to green, hit the ball really well. And his tournament before was 3 weeks before that at Wells Fargo, 5.5 shots gained approach, 7.1 tee to green, putted badly again, but finished 26th, made the cut. Has made 3 straight cuts. And, you can you look 3 straight at Valspar. He didn't really hit it well, but if you're going to get someone down at 6,100, I think there's enough here that he's hitting the ball really well. I thought he'd be at like 7,000 or maybe 6,800, but at 6,100, you could do a lot of things to your lineup at that price. I think that it's about as good as a golfer you're going to get 6,100 at any point. I really like it this week.
That's when you pay up for like Rahm. You pair him up with Stanley, basically. Is what you're saying.
Yeah, or you could play 2. You could experiment with 2 top guys, or maybe 3 guys in the 9s. You could really get creative when you have a 6,100. You could do stuff with it. I think you usually get guys down here. You're like, oh my god, I don't think he's going to make the cut. I mean, he's made 4 or 5 cuts, and 2 of those are top 15s. Like, you just never see that down here at a guy at a range that's this low.
No, you don't.
That was so good. I had to make a note of that. I'm going to, look at Stanley as part of my lineups. Patrick Harrington, anybody believe in what they saw at the PGA? I don't know, but he's down here at 66. That could be, you could maybe get me to plug him into a lineup at this point. The other name I had was, where'd he go? Doc Redman, another guy, 6,800. But I like that Kyle Stanley pick a lot for 61, especially, even lower price.
Yeah, it's just so cheap. The other name in here is it's 6,700, finished 8th last week, is Adam Hadwin. Had been playing really poorly and then turned it on pretty well last week. And it was he gained tee to green, really well around the greens. I don't know. He's just, you always worry about the off the tee. He's lost strokes off the tee 4 or 5 weeks. He's just not the guy there. But off an 8th place finish, he's really cheap. But I think if I were going to do it and play like the guy who really jumped last week, I would jump down further and just stick with Stanley.
I'd also throw out Wyndham Clark at 6,700 too. I think he fits this course. His length is pretty strong on this course. He's also good in around the green also, which I think will help with my brand new unified read the green theory that I'm going to employ. So we'll see. No, I probably won't do much of employment, but I actually do think he's interesting.
Gain strokes around the green 8 straight weeks. That's a good call. He is good around the greens.
Yeah. So I like him too. All right, let's move on from a DFS standpoint. Let's move to the betting sheet. Jeff, we'll start with you, and then we'll finish with Scott. Who do we like in terms of betting odds this week?
I would still put Spieth on my ticket. I just don't think he's done winning this year. So 14-1. That's not as handsome of a payoff as you'd maybe want to see when you're betting straight tickets in golf. But I'd still put Spieth on it. I'll go Cam Smith at 50-1. We didn't talk about him much at the top, but I just think he's another guy that you just feel like is due to win an event of this caliber. And I'm all over Woodland 60-1. All over it. That's my ticket.
All right, Scott, what say you?
It's crazy. There's 9 guys in this tournament that are under 20-1. That's wild for a golf tournament. I know we had it last week and we talked about that was really top heavy, but this is a deeper field. I'm a little surprised by some of those prices. I'm surprised that Spieth is right now is 16.5-1 on DraftKings. He's behind Victor Hovland right now. He's behind JT. Hovland's 15-1. He's second lowest, I guess, price behind Rahm, tied with JT. I'm just a little surprised by how that's moved. But I'm going to go with, if I'm going to take anyone at the top, I haven't decided if I'm full yet, but it would be Morikawa at 16.5-1. But I think I want to drop back a little bit. I like Finau at 25-1. I like Hideki at 26-1. I just think those 2 guys are a little bit hidden in the fact there's so many guys up top. And then as you drop back, I like Keegan and Charley Hoffman again at the 45 and 50 range. I'm going to play Woodland again at 60-1 also. The guy that's interesting to me, and I haven't decided yet, you take like all these top names, all these guys we talked about, and then in the middle there, you got Patrick Reed's 35-1, like same price as Scotty Scheffler, same price as Joaquin Niemann. I mean, win equity on Patrick Reed is significantly higher than any of those names in this range. So I'm going to take a look deeper at Reed. He didn't play well in the second round last week to miss the cut. Played really well in the first round, but it just seems like that price is off. And you look at 35-1, you look at all the names ahead of him. I mean, Louis 22 to 1. I mean, I think Reed has a better chance to win than Louis does. So, but I'm going Finau, Hideki, Keegan, Hoffman, Woodland for sure. And then I'll probably throw one guy at the top. It'd probably be Morikawa.
All right, very good. And then are you taking any long shots? Are you taking anybody like in triple digits to 1?
I didn't love anyone down this week. I think the field is so top heavy that a to win bet in the hundreds is just really tough. This week we've had some big ones. So we had KH Lee at 200 to 1. Phil obviously won at 300 to 1. Kokrak was like 50 to 1 last week. Just feels like maybe we're going to get to a bigger elite guy winning this week. I just think there's so many top names that I think anyone at 100 to 1 is really tough. I mean, Matt Wallace is 85 to 1. We talked to him before, but I just don't like I was hitting it right now. I scrolled down in the hundreds and I didn't see anybody that I really was going to put money on this week.
All right.
Kizzire, 100 to 1. That's worth a buck.
Keep banging that drum. I like it. I like it.
That's all I got though too. I agree with Scott. This feels like you're going to get a big time winner this week.
All right. And finally, one and done.
I mean, I'm going to do it. Unless I've used Spieth, which I'm not sure, Rahm would be tempting to, but I will go with Gary Woodland, and I will say here I will make him my one pick out of this show, Woodland to win.
All right.
What could possibly go wrong?
Woodland creatures. I like it. Scott?
I like it. You actually get Kizzire at 140 to 1 if you do want to bet it. So there, I just made you an extra few bucks when he pulls out. I've used Finau. That would probably be my play, even though he never wins. I just have a feel this week. I've used Morikawa. I'm going to go with Hideki Matsuyama as my one and done this week. I think that the form is really good. I think this is a tough course. This is a course that the greens are. They often compare them to Augusta, so I think he obviously putted better there than he normally does. So I think if he putts average, he'll be in contention. And I think I love a top 10 this week. I think Hideki's got a chance to win it too.
Past winner too, right? Hideki won this event, right?
He did, yes.
Win before the Masters.
Yep, it was. So I just like this course for him. I like how he's playing. I like how off the break I didn't want to play him right away, but played really well in the last couple times after the Masters. So I'm going with Hideki.
All right.
I
thought about going Patrick Cantlay, but instead the answer is Finau. Finau answer is the answer. So we'll go that way.
What can go wrong picking Tony Finau to win a golf tournament? It just it never fails.
Let's just tell them because they revamped the greens. This is the alternate tournament of the weekend. Maybe that'll work.
It's just like Punta Cana or Puerto Rico. We're good.
Exactly. All right, that's going to wrap up gaming golf for this week. Good luck in your leagues. Good luck in your DFS plays, and of course in your wagers. Talk to you again next week. Take care.